Hi, everyone. I'm Steve Adubato. We are honored to welcome once again State Senator Holly Schepisi to the show. Good to see you, Senator.
Good to see you too, Steve.
We are taping this toward the back end of the summer. Listen, the state budget was struck on the last day of June. You have some real concerns about Governor Murphy's budget approved largely by the Democrats. The number one concern is?
Well, one was lack of transparency. Two is size. We have almost a $51 billion budget that has now set the floor for budgets moving forward that I don't believe is going to be fiscally sustainable, particularly as most people are viewing it as us entering into some type of recession with the worst inflation that we've seen possibly ever. And we have increased spending so significantly that I really don't know how we are going to continue to sustain this.
But Senator, let me follow up on this. One of the most significant aspects of this budget that the governor and the Democrats have approved is the anchor property tax program. There's no way that you are against giving $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 to homeowners and renters. There's no way you're against that, correct?
I'm not against it. However, it's a gimmick, and nobody's getting it this year. It was like a very convenient fact that most of these discussions and dialogues left out. So go figure. Right before the next election cycle, everybody in New Jersey is magically going to get back $1,000 of their own money. My problem with this budget is that there is no meaningful long-term tax relief. Even on the property tax rebates, it's going to be a wash because people are also unaware of, just as of last night, we got notice that once again, with no transparency, no public discussion, no preview of what's to come, the state is raising all of the premiums on these state health benefit plans for municipal workers, county workers, teachers, and the like, by 24% increase in premiums for next year. So for every small community in the state, that is going to equal over $600 per employee for anybody who has a family plan for next year, which could be millions of dollars in additional costs to municipal budgets that are just going to be passed along to the property tax payer. So it's one of those things where it's like robbing from Peter to pay Paul with no meaningful relief ever provided.
On the second half of this program, we'll be joined by the president of the New Jersey State Senate, Nick Scutari. But switch gears for a second, Senator Schepisi, and let's let everyone know exactly where your district is so people know. You are based in Bergen County, I know that.
Bergen and Passaic. So I represent what's known as District 39. It's 20 towns in Bergen and 3 in Passaic County.
Got it. Let's talk guns. The Governor Murphy has talked about a 3.0 gun package, which really tries to strengthen New Jersey gun laws, which many consider to be among the strongest laws in the state. Given, and again, we're taping this when we are taping it, we can only pray what doesn't happen in terms of mass shootings, in terms of gun violence. But we know what the pattern is. What's your greatest concern about strengthening New Jersey gun laws when gun violence is so dramatically on the rise?
So the problem with the 3.0 package is, once again, it's just being done for headlines, hits, and to advance kind of his ambitions to become president. It is meaningless in preventing actual gun violence in this state. We already have the strictest laws. We already have one of the lowest levels of gun violence. The majority, if not super majority, of gun violence that takes place in the state is actually from illegal firearms. And so everything that just got put forth, for the most part, all it does is actually penalize already law-abiding citizens for things that people may honestly and truly not be aware of because no other place has some of these laws. And so it's something where if we're looking to get to the root of homicides and gun violence and the like, particularly in inner cities, in some of our suburban communities right now, as crime is skyrocketing, we have to look at how we're handling crime as opposed to just continuing to put forth measures so that they get the headlines.
Why is it one or the other? Why can't we say, we strengthen in terms of more police? And we'll actually, the day we're taping this program, the President Biden has introduced a anti-crime package, if you will. And we'll talk about that with a whole range of people. But Senator, why is it one or the other? Why can't we strengthen gun laws and provide more police? Why can't we have an anti-crime program and say, by the way, many of your Republican colleagues are not for background checks. Many of your Republican colleagues who receive a significant amount of money from the gun lobby don't even want a lot of the things that you believe make sense in New Jersey. And nationally, one more on this. Do you believe that people should be able to carry a concealed weapon in the state of New Jersey or in any state?
I do, with appropriate training and also understanding the laws of that state. One of the things that a lot of people don't understand in New Jersey is that our laws are so strict that you have an affirmative duty to retreat. So even if you are a victim of a crime, even if you are carrying a gun to protect yourself, you can't just whip that out and shoot the gun to prevent somebody from stealing your car. You have to actually try to mitigate before you ever utilize that weapon. And if you ever do utilize that weapon, you have to be cognizant that you are going to end up in court, potentially with criminal charges, definitely with some sort of civil charges, and you have to have an attorney on retainer if you choose to actually get a license to carry. But there are certain people, even like myself, and yourself, Steve, we are in the public eye. I have had some actual threats made against me over the years, and there was no possible way that I could actually, as a law-abiding citizen who has been trained to utilize a firearm, even for my own safety and protection as a female, I was not permitted under the state of New Jersey from doing so, regardless of the circumstances. So I think we have to find an appropriate balance, and people have to be very well versed in the responsibilities that are going to come with if they choose to get a carry permit.
Appreciate your direct responses to these questions, Senator. I want to get in as much as possible. I have the greatest impact with this interview. You are very concerned about public school curriculum as we move into September, into the new school year. What's your greatest concern about sex education in our schools? Be specific.
Okay, my biggest concern, the pendulum always kind of swings from one side to the other. And I think that, we've lost sight of, you can teach children to be kind, accepting, not bully. If you have a child in a class who is truly transgender, you know what? Absolutely provide every resource, teach all of the children to accept and to be kind. Where I take issue is we are now mandating and forcing in kindergarten, first grade, children to have, books read to them about Johnny's sparkly new dress, and this one believes he's a mermaid, and a whole host of stuff.
Senator, you had me until you said that. It doesn't say that. So
actually, if you look at Bergen County's new recommendations for education in reading materials for kindergarten, first, second grade, those are the books. Those are the guidelines from the Bergen County Task Force on what should be read in the classrooms at those ages. So for myself, it's kind of like, how often is this on the daily? Is this a special type of thing? And, I think that we just have to have more open, transparent discussion on what is being taught at what ages and how much is being incorporated into the day-to-day.
Let me get two more in here.
Okay.
Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, Roe versus Wade, everyone knows what has been done. You have a problem with that decision, do you not? Which also means you have a problem with many of your Republican colleagues on this.
I disagree with the implications of that decision. We just saw the most horrific instance, and to the point where a lot of media, a lot of people didn't even believe it was a true story. A 10-year-old child was raped
in Ohio, and Ohio's laws ban her banned her from having an abortion because I believe it was a few days after the 6 weeks period. So she went to, did she go to Indiana?
She went to Indiana and, had the procedure in Indiana. And then, an elected official in Indiana who wants to ride the coattails of this for his own political career eviscerates her doctor all over media, social media, turning the doctor into public enemy number one, as the doctor done everything the doctor should have done.
Excuse me, this was a 10-year-old child who was raped by someone in a violent crime, and many said that President Biden made it up. It never really happened. It's a fact. It did happen. Respectfully to our colleagues over on some of the very conservative right-wing media organizations, they said it didn't happen. It did happen. It was a fact. Go ahead, Senator.
And so for myself, as a mother, as a woman, as somebody who was the victim of a sexual assault when I was a teenager, I hear some of these narratives and I go, what happened to empathy? What happened to rationality? And press releases about how the child should have been forced to carry a child carrying a child. I think people have actually lost their minds on this, and I don't think it's reflective of many people's viewpoints. Can we agree to disagree, as I do, on late-term abortions for any reason or no reason? Yes. I mean, I don't think it's appropriate to allow somebody to just walk in at 7 months and have an abortion for no reason. But when we're talking about some of these other laws and prosecuting doctors and prosecuting young women, prosecuting rape victims, it's insane.
One more quick on this, please, 30 seconds or less. Is the governor right, and other Democrats who have fought for this, are they right to encourage women from other states? Probably more than half of the states in the nation are likely to ban abortion, to say, come to New Jersey for a legal abortion. Are they right to do that, Senator?
I think, it's a tough call on this one, because I totally disagree with marketing the state and going into, Fortune 500 companies and telling CEOs, hey, send your women to us, we'll give them an abortion, come to New Jersey.
But is it okay to say we are legal, and if you can't get an abortion in your state, to come here?
Yes.
And the reason I also ask that is that who knows, you may be running for governor one day and you may have to make that decision yourself. Senator, as always, I cannot thank you enough. Best to you and your family, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
All the best. That is State Senator Holly Schepisi. I'm Steve Adubato. Stay with us. We'll be right back with the Senate President right after this.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Seton Hall University, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, IBEW Local 102, Hackensack Meridian Health, the New Jersey Education Association, Fedway Associates, Inc., Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Operating Engineers Local 825, PSE&G, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State. And by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ.com and by Insider NJ.
This is the Seton Hall story, one that comes to life every day on our campus. This is the place where great minds discover, innovate, collaborate, and find their true calling. This is the place where passion has a purpose, where learning inspires leading. The bonds we make, the values we teach, inspire our community to take heart and take action. This is Seton Hall University. This is what great minds can do.